Hi everyone, good afternoon. You guys can hear me? Okay.
Just give me a moment. I'm just
All right.
bring
So for
my
those who are
profile.
in now, may I request you to turn on your video, please, so we can see your beautiful faces and handsome faces. See? Don't be shy to show your handsome faces. You guess if he's the only one who will turn it on, he is the most handsome in the class then. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is in so we can start.
Yeah, Yogesh. We're just waiting for Daria. I think Lu.
Daria won't be joining today. She messaged
Okay,
me.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Then we're good to go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Lenny. All right. So today our module is HR operations and automation. So we are going to discuss some of the HR operation concepts, and then we will talk about two very important areas: how you can reduce your time from HR operations and give your time to the strategic HR. What are the tools that you can use? We are going to talk about those tools. And then finally, in the end of this chapter, we will talk about employee engagement. So these are some of the very important areas of HR. So we'll try to understand the concept of HR service delivery. In the modern contemporary HR, it is becoming more popular now. Instead of having a full-fledged HR team for every business, for every organization, within a corporate, you may have multiple companies. How does it make sense to have a central team which can take care of service delivery for the entire organization? Uh, then we'll try to understand the concept of stakeholders, and then what are the HR operation models that we use currently? What are the role? What is the role of HR in that HR operational model? And then very important areas, like I said, HR shared services, outsourcing, automation, and finally employee engagement. So for you, some of the terms may be new, but I think if you are working in HR already, most of you are already aware with all these terms. So we'll try to understand these terms in a very simple way and in a practical way. So strategic and operational HR can be divided into four quadrants depending on two areas. One is either it's operational or strategic, and second is it's a reactive or proactive approach. So we can divide it into four quadrants. And in the operational quadrant, or in the operational side, operational axis, you can see it can be divided into reactive and proactive, which means operational supporter and operational partner. So let me give one example for each of these four so that you can understand. When we say the HR role in my company is just operational supporter, it simply means that HR in my company is working as a support function to other departments or other functions. HR helps them to achieve their goals. But strategically, HR is not that important. Even without HR, we can survive. We can even thrive even without HR. But it is good to have, because whenever we face some issue, we need to have someone who can back up with manpower, back up with training, back up with motivation, etc., etc. So it's good to have, but it's not must. Let me give an example of operational supporter. Let's say you are a manufacturing company, and one day you realize that one operation or one operator who manages a machine in your, which is a very critical machine, he resigned immediately. So he said, I will not come from tomorrow. Now the line manager cannot leave the factory or the manufacturing line and go out searching for a new operator. Maximum what line manager can do is can ask someone to look out for, so that immediately the production can start. So the line manager obviously will contact HR and tell him this is the emergency and you need to support me. So here HR is just an emergency responder who helps the line manager in achieving his goals. And although this support is very crucial, very important, so that the line manager can keep on focusing on his goals and targets rather than these small issues. But like I said, still you can manage without HR because this is just a support which you can ask from an external party, third party vendor as well. So that's the operational supporter role, which is reactive, which does not have a proactive approach, but it's reactive. It, it's usually remembered in emergency, urgency, or when you have to put blame on someone else, then this HR department is used. Now, when HR becomes proactive means like any other function, HR has its own goals. HR plans for the entire organization. HR creates his own KPIs and KRAs for the year. Like any other department have their targets for every month, HR also has their target for every month. Hiring the right people, certain number of hours, maintaining the employee satisfaction. Some if you are doing some survey, so maintaining that employee satisfaction index or percentage. So he has his KPIs and KRAs, um, which are equally important to any other function. So now he is operational partner. An example of operational partner would be like in the first example, the line manager tells HR that somebody resigned and you need to find me immediate replacement. When HR works as an operational partner, HR goes to the line manager and tells him that, look, I was going through these monthly reports. One of your operator is taking frequent leaves, half days. I talked to him. Nothing is wrong in his family. Everything he says is fine. Then why he is taking multiple half days and offs? What about his performance? Is it fine or is it going down? And then the person says, yeah, his performance is also going down, seems to be distracted. And then HR may find that he's actually looking out for a job. Then he goes and talks to the person and he finds that, in fact, he's not happy. And he was going for interviews. Now the HR manager sits with the line manager and this employee and tries to find out gaps. And he realizes that one morning there was an issue between both of them, and after that the employee is not feeling to work with, he is not feeling like I should work with this line manager. But line manager does not have any idea what is going on inside his mind. Finally, they both come to the same conclusion that it was a miscommunication, it was a mistake on the line manager's end or any of the end, or it was simply a miscommunication between two, and they resolved it and now everything is fine. This is what we call operational partner. So the HR manager is going one step ahead and helping the line manager to save his precious time, which he might have wasted if the person would have resigned. So that's a proactive role of HR, but still it is operational. Next, when we go towards the strategic dimension, so here HR supports the business goals through professional HR solutions. An example of strategic supporter would be, let's take the same production company, the same manufacturing line. And HR realizes after discussion with the management and some research in the market, HR realizes that all our competitors, they have a successor or an assistant for this particular machine. This machine is crucial for our manufacturing or production. And in many companies, I have seen two people operating this machine, one supervisor, one assistant. And we should have one additional person managing this machine. Now, either he convinces the management. Now, the management says, no, no, but we are working, we are doing well with one person. It will be additional expense on us. So we shouldn't be having this extra burden. And then HR tells the management, okay, then let's do one thing. There is another operator who is free for, couple of hours. Nowadays, that machine is not that busy. Can we train that operator on this machine also? In case if this person goes on vacation leave or something, then we have an additional operator who can run that machine. So now this is something which is going to support the business goals, and it is going to make sure that the production is continuously going and not depending on one person, which leads to risk mitigation. So this job rotation, task rotation, which he introduces for this particular operator will lead to further risk mitigation for the business. Now that's a strategic supporter role. Now the fourth, which is strategic partner. So as you can see, it's also strategic, also proactive. Now the HR proactively partners with the management and integrates HR with business goals. So here HR presents the data to the management. HR presents the competitor analysis and tells the management that, guys, you need to plan for this position. You need to have an additional resource for this particular machine. Because if you don't do it, then it may lead to this much of business loss, which happened last year. And this is where our competitors, they are producing more, we are producing less. Plus, we can have some additional overtime so that we can generate even more production, but we need two people on this machine. And when he convinces the management, because he believes that I am the business partner, my goal is to improve the production. My goal is not just to help the production team, but my goal is to improve the production. So that's a strategic partner role, which is a dynamic and continuous integration of HR department with business goals. Okay, so these are the four. I gave you one example with all the four possibilities in one example. So you can see how we move from reactive to proactive and operational to strategic. Okay, so the best way to understand this is when we say operational means that we are just looking at the current situation, current scenario. When we say strategic, then we are looking at a long-term scenario and we are looking at a vision and mission, and then we are planning. Now, there is this famous global HR operations model, which many companies actually use. I personally am not a big fan of this HR operational model, but because companies use it, we need to understand it. This model argues that there are three different types of people in our organization, international or global organization. In these three categories, we need to have three different strategies when we are managing these three different groups of people. This is the argument of this model. But like I said, I'm personally, I do not agree with this. I disagree with this model. But it works for many, many, many thousands of organizations, and multinational companies use this. So this model says there are three types of employees based on the region they belong. One, as the name suggests, host country national means, like in UAE, who is host country national? An Emirati. A local is a host country national. Then we have home country national. Home country national are those which are from the country of origin of the organization. If Microsoft is opening an office in UAE, a UAE national may be a host country, but an American will be a home country national. And third is others. Who are others? Apart from host and home, whosoever. In this case, an Indian will be the other, a Filipino will be the other, or any other nationality. A British, German, Spanish, they all will be others. So this model says that we need to have three different approaches in talent management for all three types of nationalities. And what is the idea behind this model? If you go deeper into the psychology of the model, you will find it's more about some kind of fear. There is some kind of fear, and there is some kind of risk planning that is involved in this model. So, host country national is a local, and we would not give him a very senior strategic position in the company. Why? Like I said, the basis may be some kind of fear, and the fear is that our strategies, our planning will go into the hands of the locals of the country. So what if all your strategies goes to the locals? Then what they will do? What China did. Instead of using Google, they will have their own Google. What is the name? Baidu or something, right? So they have copies of all Twitter, Google, etc., in their own Chinese version. So that is precisely the fear of this global HR operation model. That when you give all your strategic understanding and knowledge to host country nationals, then they don't need you. They may become your competitor. Why? Because they know the market better than you, because it's their home, right? So if they have the right resources, they can easily become your competitor. So what to do with host country? Don't give them highly strategic positions, and source, select, and deploy. Just source the right people, select the right people, and deploy them. What if tomorrow they ask for promotions? What if tomorrow they ask for transparency, strategic involvement in the strategic decisions? Then don't allow them or let them go. If they're asking for involvement in the strategic decisions, they want data, they want this, that, then let them go and hire someone else. Just source, select, and deploy. Second is the home country national. Now, the home country national is from your own country. So, what to do with them? What to do with home country national? Retain, develop, and grow them. Because they are from your home country, so even tomorrow they may leave uh, this assignment, So they may leave Dubai, they will go back to America, right? US. There again, they will be assets for you. So don't lose your home country nationals. Give them strategic positions and keep an open door for them. Whenever they want to come back to their country, home country, let them come back. So that's the strategy for home country nationals: retain, develop, and grow. Then come the third country national. So what is our strategy for third country national? So people who are not neither locals nor home. So your strategy will be very simple: manage and reward. Manage them and reward them regularly. What if they ask for promotion? Let them go. If they ask for promotions, rewards, etc., we let them go. I can give one example of a French multinational company. One of my students, she was HR manager. Her husband was working with this big French multinational company. They're into tires. So this person was working as a sales manager for good 10 years. And he started asking for promotion. Now after 10 years, everyone wants promotion, right? In the same role, if you are there for 10 years. And the next role was obviously general manager. When he approached HR a couple of times, they told him that the position is only for French people. It's not for any other nationality. Even the locals cannot become the general manager. So he had a long discussion with the HR, the line manager, top management. Finally, he resigned and left the company in frustration. So what was the reason? Reason was this model. The company was using this model, that for this position we cannot allow a person from different nationality. So like I said, I personally would not agree with this such model, because you can see it is based on some kind of fear. And it is not also true that if you don't use this model, you won't be successful. We know of many great organizations which do not follow this model, yet they are very successful, like Microsoft, Google, Apple, and many other organizations. They do not follow this model. They allow any nationality, any person, any location in the world. If they find a talent, they try to groom that talent. And this is how the organization should behave, right? If I find a local in Dubai who is a great resource for me, then why don't he should grow in leadership positions for the company? So imagine I will be completely uh, without any kind of tension if he manages my entire location. So why don't we develop people who are host? Similarly, what about others? What if I get some really good talent? Like in this case, if this sales manager was working for 10 years, achieving his targets, showing managerial skills, then why I shouldn't make him general manager? So that's the critique of this model. But like I said, many companies still use this model. You might know of such companies as well. So I know, like for example, I know some banks. Usually banks, not usually, most of the times, bank do not trust other nationalities and host country nationals. They often hire from their local country. Now, what do we focus on? So HR function focuses on various areas of manpower development. You can see out of this, if I have to, you can see 23% of the time is going into administrative task, and 19% of the time of HR is going into maintaining staff data. Now, this is a survey from 1,870 HR people, and by large organizations in service industry. You can see 23% plus 19 is 42. A good 42% of time of an HR professional is going into what? Maintaining staff data and admin activities. Now, the time that you are spending in these activities, will it correlate with organization's outcomes? Like organizational outcomes such as achieving the business goals. Now, most of the time, the answer is no. Because this is a time that you are spending just in maintaining the data, maintaining the records, and administration of resources. So if you spend this 42% time in performance management, training and development, policy enhancement, policy planning, and selecting the right people or improving your selection criteria and assessments in the company, don't you think you will make your company more productive and you will really get organizational outcomes if you devote this 42% time on these areas? But now the question is how we can do it, because it is something which needs to be done. Somebody has to do this dirty job. So how we can get rid of this 42% of the time? Work which is taking a lot of our time. And to further understand, let's take the survey of the line managers. 17,000 line managers across the globe were asked, how effective is your HR function? 33% said our HR function is very effective. 11% said our HR function is not effective. But the highest number, 56%, were neutral. So neutral means they are not saying it is effective. Yeah. So if they feel it is effective, they should say it is effective, right? But they're saying I'm neutral. What does it mean? That I don't want to say on your face, but you know the reality. So they are not happy, or they are not feeling that you are effective. I mean, not you, but as an HR function. So it means 67% line managers have responded that our HR is not very effective. And you know the reason. Reason is we spend a lot of our time on the activities which do not allow us to be effective. Like we keep on spending time with records and many other things, employee files, etc. Now, These are the four distinct HRBP roles. One is strategic partner. So here, HR as a strategic partner, I think we already discussed this part, so I will not go into much detail. Where HR is creating the strategies, planning, and adjusting HR activities as per the organizational vision and goals. Operational manager, helping the operational team to achieve their goals. Emergency responder, like I said, he is fixing the problems when they arise. It's a supportive function and reactive role. Employee mediator, again, it's a reactive role where where HR mediates whenever there is an issue between line manager and the employee. So conflict management. So these four areas still remain with HR in some capacity. So we cannot completely get rid of all the four. There will be certain times when you need to work as emergency responder, employee mediator, but there are certain areas which can be really handed over to someone else. So comes the idea of shared services or the concept. As the name suggests, shared services. There are two types of shared services. Now here you should know we are talking about HR shared services. Like I said, there are two types of HR shared services. One is when you outsource, and second is when your HR services are not outsourced but given to the corporate. Outsourced shared services, corporate shared services. Now, in UAE, what is common? Corporate shared services. But in other countries, outsourced shared services is more common. For example, in India, you will find outsourced shared services more common than corporate. But in UAE, corporate is more common. I will tell you the reason also, but let us first understand both. What is outsourced, what is corporate? So let's talk about corporate shared service. For example, there is a company called ADNH in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi National Hotels. Okay. Now they are having multiple divisions. One is catering division. One is they have Park Hyatt. They have one Radisson Hotel. They have another 5-star hotel. I don't remember the name. And they have another company which is Manpower Services. So these are 5 different companies under the name of ADNH. So the parent company is ADNH. Under ADNH, we have 5 different companies. If you see in UAE, most of the companies follow the same model, like Al Futtaim, right? They have their logistics, they have retail, they have automobile. These are various. Some of they also are into luxury, so retail. go into details, etc. Let's say. Then we have, for example, insurance also. Now, similarly, Emirates. Emirates will also be not only aviation, but they will have their own catering and multiple other businesses. So, if you look at any of these companies in UAE which are owned by certain houses, certain groups, they have multiple organizations under one corporate. Now, what ADNH does, the entire payroll of catering, all the hotels, all the manpower service is managed by one office in Abu Dhabi. So instead of having a payroll officer in all these locations, otherwise what they need is, let's say for catering, they have 800, 900 staff. They need 2 payroll officers. For each hotel, they need 1 payroll officer. And for manpower, they have huge manpower supply. So they need 4. So in total, they may need 9 payroll officer. And if I take gross salary, including accommodation and everything, it will be minimum 10,000 dirham, including all the benefits. So there is around 90,000 multiplied by 12, right? So it will be 108. So it is 1.8 million, right? 1.08 million. Now that is the payroll cost. That is not payroll cost, that is the cost of managing payroll. Now, what if they put all this payroll under one roof? Then instead of 9, because 300, 300, 300 in the hotels, so around 900 plus 800, 1700. Manpower services, they already are having 4,000. So 5,800. So 5,800 manpower can be easily served by 5 or maximum 6 payroll officers. So what you are saving 30,000 multiplied by 12, 360,000 dirham you are saving annually if you make them sit at one place, which is a huge money for the company, right? So you are saving roughly between 25 to 30% of the cost of the payroll management. So that's how the corporate shared service makes sense for many of the companies here in UAE. Okay. But there are some other benefits also, which I will explain when I'm explaining the outsource. But because it's there in our syllabus, so I will explain quickly about corporate. So what happens in the corporate shared service? For example, in India, we have many corporate shared service providers, and one of them is IBM Daksh. So let's say this is a company who is an outsourced payroll service provider. Now, you should know, as an employer, when I approach a bank, like I approach Standard Chartered Bank, we had a manpower of 1,000, and this bank gave me an offer that for all your people, we will give you 0 balance account. Now, Other benefits are everyone will get a silver credit card, no, gold credit card, and 50% discount somewhere, many kind of discounts. One movie ticket free with one every month. So this is an offer which Standard Chartered is giving to my employees. Why? Because I'm opening 1,000 account at one go with Standard Chartered. So they will definitely provide me some benefits. Now let's see if I go through IBM Daksh, which is an outsourced payroll service provider. So I may decide, instead of me directly managing payroll, can I go through IBM Daksh? And if I approach this company, definitely they can, obviously they will save my cost. Like in the previous case, I saved cost, I will save cost. What is the other benefit? Other benefit is that IBM Daksh will thousands with thousands of people. So when I'm going to the same bank with 1,000 accounts, I'm getting the above benefit. But when I go with 1 million accounts, then obviously I will get huge benefits, right? So I may get some interest, I may get other benefits from the bank. We will not talk about that. But even my people, instead of getting a gold credit card, they may get a platinum or diamond credit card if I go through IBM Daksh. So if in the silver card I'm getting one movie ticket free with one, here I may get two movie ticket free every month. The limit of the credit card will be higher. I may even get some vacations, flight tickets, etc. I may have discount on flight tickets. So these are various benefits I am getting if I am going through the shared service provider. Why? Why is it so? Very simple, economies of scale, right? If something is done at large scale, then the company gets benefit from that. So there is a win-win-win situation for all the three. Win for employer because he's saving cost, his headache is getting reduced. Win for the employee because he's getting more benefits for the same amount of salary. And win for the shared service provider who earns from this entire process. So that is the outsourced shared service, which is used by many organizations. Right. So the key word is in this shared service model, which you should remember always, is economies of scale. Anything which you do at large scale, you always become cost effective. You save a lot of money when you do something at the large scale. All right. Plus, imagine how much saving you are doing. So you are saving the rent of the space that you may use. You are using the laptop systems that you need to process that particular activity of business. You need less number of people. Um, you will save on interest. You will save on transfers and many other things. So it's a great tool if we can use it properly. So what are the benefits like we have discussed so far? Time devoted to HR policy and administration is saved. So here you are having 31% of time without HR shared service is going into process administration. Whereas when we have shared service, the number of hours spent in the process administration are reduced from 31 to 22. Similarly, time for consulting also reduces from 17 to 12%. Yeah. So you save time, you save money, you save resources. Another interesting assessment is that at least 60% of time is saved from the total cost of HR. Without shared service, with shared service, you save 16% of HR expense per full-time equivalent or per full-time employee. So the HR cost per employee reduces by 16% when you outsource some of your HR activities. Now, if there are so many benefits, then why can't we do it? Why can't every organization do it? And why they do not do it? Why some companies fail implementation? And the answer is very simple. Most of the companies fail in shared service implementation because of two things. Either lack of process, either it is lack of process or it is lack of resources. So let us try to understand what should be the process. How should the process looking like when you are implementing a shared service? So it's very simple. You know that if you are going in-house shared service or you are going outside for shared service, in both the cases, let's say this is your existing process. All right. And this is the process of shared service. So this is your existing process. And this is your shared service. Now, what you will get if you try to combine both? Can this square fit into this? The answer is no. We will fail. What is the problem? And what is the solution? Hmm? The problem is our as is process is not aligned with shared service process. So what to do? Many companies, or not many, some companies, they try to change the shared service process, which is a very wrong approach. Because these shared service, even if you are creating a corporate shared service, by the definition, shared service means everyone needs to follow their process. You cannot force your company's process on a shared service division. Imagine A company who is managing payroll of 1000 companies, if they all say that no, you have to manage it the way we want you to manage, they will never be successful. So instead of changing the process of the shared service company or corporate shared service or the outsourced shared service company, what you need to do is you need to first change your process to make sure that it fits in the shared service model. So this is the crux of this entire discussion, which we are going to do in the slide. So what we need to do first before going into shared services, change this into this. Okay, so just ignore my drawing. Imagine it's still here. So if this is of this shape, then this process can easily fit in. So don't imagine that automatically one day you will call a shared service company and you will be able to use their services immediately. You need to make some changes internally before you hand it over to the shared service company. If you don't do that, then even if you give it to them to implement, they will fail. Why they will fail is not because their process is wrong. They will fail because your process is different than their process. Are you with me on this? Yeah. So we need to change our as is process and make sure that it fits the process of the organization. All right. Great. So now it will become very easy for you to understand the previous slide. This is what we are trying to say in this slide. So this is a 4-step process. Step 1 is plan. When you are trying to implement a shared service division in your company, you need to take buy-in from key stakeholders and create an implementation plan. Take buy-in and create a plan. Very important step. Second step is audit. Audit means, which we did in the previous diagram. Check what is your process and what is the process of the shared service provider. Compare your process with the process of the shared service provider. That's audit. And it will take some time, maybe 1 month, 2 months. If you are a huge organization, 6 months. So do that. So in this case, what you can do, you have to partner with your finance manager, finance department, IT department, and obviously HR department. We need to consult and check how we are different from the this shared service provider's process. Then you need to design the new process. Design in-house, right? That currently this is our process to fit into the vendors or service providers. We are going to change our process into this. There will be few changes. When I say process change, it simply means few approvals should be in place. Like some companies, they will have this kind of, especially when your management is very centralized, micromanagement. So I still know some companies, what they do, they ask the HR team to send the entire salary in the last week. Before giving that month's salary, they will go through it. Then they will mark, highlight salaries which they will ask you to hold, stop, or do other things. Now, if you are manually doing that process, imagine how you will immediately go to a outsourced shared service. No, you cannot. So first you have to stop all these activities and change your internal process. In that case, you need to discuss with the management, your senior stakeholders and tell them that, guys, if we implement it, we will not be able to do all these things which we are doing right now. So let's change our process so that our process can fit into the service provider's process and we have a smooth uh, deployment of shared service. All right. And phase 4 is the obviously deployment. So these are the 4 steps in HR shared service implementation process. If you have any question, you can ask. Is it clear? Great. So far, so good. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, let's move on now. So one of the process was shared service. Okay, can we repeat shared service benefits? Asking Muhammad Hamuri. So I want others now to answer this question. Can anyone answer and try to give the benefits? Let's see how many benefits you can count. What are the benefits of shared service process? So it will be like a revision for us. Okay, Akshay is writing. Enables us to focus on more important strategic tasks. Very good. Maria, saves cost, creates economies of scale. Yes. Adige points out time devoted to HR policy and administration will be lessened. Good. Cost control, saving time, efficient resourcing. Yes. Good. Yes, all these are benefits. Anyone else? Any other benefit? Okay. Some other benefits. Can we say implementing best practices? Yes. Implementing best practices, and like Wally says, better quality of service. Yes. Better quality of service. Good. If you look into it carefully, it leads to risk mitigation also, isn't it? Because let's say if you have a payroll officer, if he falls sick, your salary will be delayed. But if your salary is processed through a third party or a corporate, there are multiple people responsible for the same job. So your risk is taken care of, right? Okay, good. So yes, Mohammed, is it clear for you now?
Yeah, it's very clear. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So all these are the benefits. Yeah, that is also an interesting point. Less investment in technology, office space, fewer employees. Yes. All right. So one was shared service. Second is another way to save time, because why we started this discussion, if you remember, line managers are complaining that HR is not effective. Now we did analysis why line managers are saying this, that HR is not effective, because HR is spending 42% of his or her time in the administrative task, record maintenance, management, etc. Now, how we can minimize this time of HR and what tools we can use to minimize your time in record and other administration tasks. So one of the tool was shared service. So things like payroll, record management, etc., employee files, visa, compliance management can entirely shift to shared service now, right? You don't have to care about employee visa and other things. The shared service division will take care of it. So you saved a lot of time. Now comes the second tool which you can use to further save your time, and that is HRIS or HRMS. What is HRIS? What is HRMS? Anyone who can share what is the difference between HRIS and HRMS? So HRIS means Human Resource Information System. Human Resources Information System. And what is HRMS? Human Resource Management System. So as the name suggests, human resource management. Here, it is limited to only sharing information. So if your goal is to just collect all the data of your employees, records of your employees, soft copies of their credentials, their employment history, their certificates, etc., then HRIS is enough. Okay, so this is a place where you can store information, data, documents, etc. Then what is HR management system? Is where you can process the information and you can take some decisions which can accelerate your HR decision making. So when you are able to process this information, in HRIS, we are just gathering the information. In HRMS, what we are doing? We are processing the information. And what is the purpose? To make better decisions with the help of data. That is HRMS. The goal of HRIS is to gather the information. The goal of HRMS is to process the information and take some decisions based on that information. So it's like data processing. Okay. So there are some features in HRMS, like to enable the processing, there are some features. Like for example, ESS. What is ESS? Employee self-service. So let's say if you are having a HRMS, what you need to do, if you are applying for a vacation or a leave, or you want your salary receipt. So what you will do, you will simply go to your HRMS, sorry, and you will ask for a salary receipt of this month. You will not call anyone, you will not go to any place, you simply hit the salary receipt button and you will get a PDF copy of your salary report. Now that's a simple. Now let's say manager wants to take a decision. So now manager wants to see what is the schedule, attendance, discipline level of my people when it comes to punctuality or attendance. So he might want a report on attendance. So automatically he generates a report. He will say attendance report of his division. He will get a report where it will be highlighted how many people were late, how many times they were late in a month, and other details. So that is a manager self-service. Now, not only that, manager can also pre-plan things. Like for example, in my team, I want to give birthday wishes to a team member. So what I can do, I can create my own customized birthday message and I can schedule it. So let's say after 1 week, I have a birthday of one of the girls in my company. So what I can do, I can schedule the mail on that particular night, 12 in the night, she may get an email. So these all are the manager self-service. I may also opt for auto approval of leaves. So in our HRMS, we may have a system that if you apply for a leave, in 48 hours, manager doesn't reply. It means your leave is automatically approved. You don't have to wait for the manager's approval. The system will approve the leave. So all these inbuilt decision making you can do. Now it is becoming more easy with the help of artificial intelligence. But with the software also you can do all these things. Without even AI, you can make all these logics and decisions so that your job is taken care by the system itself and you don't have to remind yourself what I'm supposed to do. So that is employee self-service and manager self-service. Okay, let's take a break now. When we'll come after the break, we'll continue from here. Okay. I can see some people need tea. All right. Yeah.